Yo, Eric Dubois with EDP-Beats.net. I just filmed this video already, but I'm doing it again because actually the iMac and the screen capture thing is not working good. So we're back on the MacBook Pro as always. Never let me down, especially for today with this amazing stock plugin from Ableton that I just love, which is the glue compressor. So let's get straight into it. What's in stock? Glue compressor. So here's how the glue compressor looks inside of Ableton. So there's two compressors that you can choose from in Ableton. There is the glue compressor and the regular compressor. The regular compressor allows you to have a little more power and a little more control in controlling the compressor and just fine-tuning some of the settings. The glue compressor is just an emulation of, I think, an SSL bus compressor. So this is mostly used on groups of tracks to make everything glue together and make everything just blend together nicely and just sound a little more tight instead of sounding like three tracks layered together. So the settings are pretty much basic. As you can see, you have a little graph here with a needle that's going to show you the amount of gain reduction that the compressor is actually doing. So we have -5 dB, -10, all the way up to -20 if you're going for some extreme compression. The threshold is going to allow you to set that famous set point where whenever the sound goes over that point, the compressor is going to start to compress. Whenever the compressor is compressing, you kind of lose some of the volume. So that makeup gain knob here is going to allow you to raise that volume back up to kind of compensate from the compression. Because the goal of the compressor is to just control the dynamics of the sound. So if we have a sound with a lot of spikes and we want to make it a little bit more linear, a little bit more controlled, we're going to use a compressor to kind of tame down those spikes and make everything sound even in a way. Our attack knob is going to tell you when the compressor should start compressing after it got triggered by passing that threshold point. So we can have either a fast attack, so it starts compressing right away at 0.01 millisecond, or we can have a slower attack so that the peak does go through a little bit and then the compressor starts bringing it back down. So this is pretty cool for a snare if you want that high right when it hits, that big peak right there when it hits, and then compress right after. If you still want those peaks to go through in your sound, set it to a slower attack. Release does pretty much the opposite, so it takes care of once our compressor is triggered and the sound goes over that threshold point and comes back down, the compressor should stop compressing, but the release knob allows you to control the length of the compression. So if you want it to keep compressing a little bit after it stops triggering, or if you want to compress it, you want it to stop right when the sound goes back down and just control those peaks, that's what your release knob is for. The ratio is the amount of compression that you want. So if you have a low ratio, 2 to 1, it means whatever, if you're having 2 dB going over the threshold, it's going to reduce it to 1. Same goes with 4 to 1. If we have 4 dBs going over the threshold, it's going to be reduced to 1. And the extreme setting of 10 to 1, if we have 10 dBs going over the threshold, it's going to reduce that to 1. So we have some really extreme compression going on here. Of course, we have the dry wet knob. So if you want to do some parallel compression, you can use that dry wet knob as well, which lets you hear the dry signal mixed in with the wet signal and the compressed signal. So we use that a lot on drums, for example, just to give it a little bit more punch, right? Also, there's a secret, same as the other compressor in Ableton, you have your secret sidechain section right here. If you click on that triangle, and this is your sidechain settings. So if you want, again, sidechain compression is not just having your sound pulsate to the kick and dance music. No, sidechain compression is actually telling the compressor, instead of being triggered by the original audio signal, to have it triggered by an external audio signal. It could be whatever you want. And that's pretty much the basic functions of the glue compressor. So let's try it out here. 3 tracks layered together, grouped into one group called the drum bus. And what I want to do is use the compressor to kind of blend all of those tracks together and make it sound like a more unique sound. So I have a very simple hi-hat. I have a very simple little breaths going on, and then our kick and snare. Very simple. Now I'm going to use the glue compressor to just kind of blend in everything together. So let's go find our glue compressor, drop it in, and here it is without, and we're going to start lowering the threshold just to control those dynamics a little bit and play with some of the settings. So already you notice that the volume is being brought down. So we're gonna use that makeup gain to bring up the volume again. Turn it on and off to kind of feel if your volume, if you made up the right volume to what it was naturally. So we can see that the kick is what's getting the most dynamics here, and the kick is what's triggering the compressor live. So I still want the kick to come in strong, so I'm going to do a slow attack to let that kick go through and start the compression after the kick. So here with the high ratio, you can really hear that heavy compression happening that really just squishes that kick, and you lose a lot of dynamics. It just sounds like a big thud, right? So that's where we're gonna use it as a parallel compression. So we're gonna force this compressor right here to go to the extreme. And then we're gonna blend it in. That's pretty much it. So that's how a glue compressor works. Super easy to use. Let's check out some of their presets that they have. They have mastering, make it loud. Let's check this out. Gentle limiter, catch peaks. Here there's some especially for the drums. With the drum full power out, you can really hear a big difference. So the compressor, you're gonna use it a little bit slowly. It's very easy to go overboard, so be careful with that. Really train your ears on hearing what is getting compressed and what not, so just practice with it. It's a very good plugin. I use it on a lot of stuff, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Glue compressor. So thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing and checking out these series. Let me know in the comments below if there's any specific plugins you want me to go through next. Come out with a new video, what's in stock, every Saturday, and then another video every Wednesday. So I try to do 2 a week, try to stick to that program. Much love from Hawaii, and peace out.